Anyone that is an impact.
Shutting our schools down, including all athletic programs.
Your firsthand accounts.
I did take the test, and I found out that I was positive.
A lot of people who know me, I'm still the first person they know.
But it was almost like you were patient zero for South Seattle. Your stories of community coming together.
Partnered very heavily with Tacoma Urban League, who is doing some amazing work in response.
We're doing things for small businesses. We're giving out loans for small businesses.
And so I think it's very important that we have leaders who feel.
I mean, I cannot tell you we're calling 20, 30, 40 members.
This crisis in our community, we've been working to address it.
Rainier Avenue Radio, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
DJ Dirty John.
Karen Z with Rainier Avenue Radio.
Hey, this is Hercule Cool. Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
Rainier Avenue Radio.world. We got you covered. Local impact, global press.
We broadcast. Welcome to Rainier Avenue Radio.world and our weekly coverage of the impact of communities. Continuation of our series. I'd like to thank everyone for joining us again here. And then again, now we are aware of the fact that we are and more folks listening to that.
1, 2, get down. What's up, big and little homies? This is Masvita Maraire, host of Seattle Sports Weekly on Rainier Avenue Radio.world, your one-stop shop for Seattle sports. We cover preps, we cover college, we cover pro, we cover it all. Huskies, Mariners, Seahawks, Garfield, South, Roosevelt, Metro, King County. This is where you want to listen to for all the sports that's happening in Seattle. Seattle Sports Weekly on Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
See a bad
This is Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
Welcome to Rainier Avenue Radio.world. It's me, Tony B. I am your host for the impacts of the coronavirus on South Seattle and surrounding communities. Show that we do every Friday from 1 to 3, and we started this back, I believe, March 13th, 2020. And here we are, 2022. And the coronavirus is as present, if not more present, than it was at that time. And in 2021, we thought we knew more. And so everyone, I'm sure, thought that going into 2022, we're going to be back to what some folks called normal, even though there were a lot of people who didn't want to return to that particular normal. At the very least, we thought we would be, I don't want to say through with COVID, but come on. Everybody thought this thing would be not rearing its ugly head again in as many ways that it is. Got a great show for you. We're going to be talking with Vanaya a little bit later, who's going to tell us about a program that they've got going on. A little later than that, I'm going to give you a COVID update on, well, let's just call it everything COVID. We're going to talk about rapid testing. There are new variants out there as well. One in particular, I think they said 46, but one in particular that is now shown up in France. And as we know, if it shows up somewhere, won't be long before it's here. We're also going to talk about surges, hospitalizations, what's going on with Omicron here in King County, where again we are surging and getting to the point where there may not be hospital beds left. But to get this thing going, we're going to be talking about property taxes. Property taxes. COVID impacts and affects everything. And at the very least, this is information that you need to know. Joining me will be the assessor. I just like saying that. The assessor from the Department of Assessments. Mr. John Wilson. As a matter of fact, why don't we bring John on right now?
Hey, Tony.
How are you?
I'm good, sir.
Well, good to be able to talk to you again. Let's start with this. The assessor. I just like the way that sounds. And the Department of Assessments. What is the Department of Assessments? And as the assessor, essentially in a nutshell, what does that mean that you do?
So the department is a county-wide agency. It's part of King County government. There are about a little over 200 of us. We go out on a regular basis and we inspect properties. That's homes, commercial buildings, apartment buildings, you name it, because we set values on all of that for property taxes.
Mm-hmm.
And then each year, around this time of year, we take in from all the different taxing jurisdictions, like the city of Seattle, the county, the port of Seattle, and that. And they tell us how much money they think they need from the property taxes. And we figure out what's the levy rate that we set to get that money. And that ends up showing up on your doorstep if you're a property owner in mid-February. It was somebody's idea of sort of a sick joke to send it on Valentine's Day.
Mm-hmm.
And you get your property tax bill. And as we all know, those have been going up even in this age of COVID. And that's meant it's had a real stress on people. And we've been trying to look at ways to deal with that. We've had some success. We wish we could have more, but happy to dive in wherever you want to, Tony, to talk about property taxes and what it means to folks.
Okay, for the assessment process, is there a standard that you use for assessments? How closely related to actual sale value is that? What goes into determining the assessment of a property? Is there a formula that somebody can use to do their own assessment?
Well, you can't quite do the formula to do your own assessment. It's based on what we call mass appraisal of what did all the properties in your particular area sell for. So like we're taking properties in the Rainier Valley and we group them together. So we're not comparing that to, let's say, Bellevue or to Auburn or that. Under state law, there are two component parts to a property value. One is what's called the improvement. That's the building that's on it, your house, the office building, whatever. The second is the land itself. And under state law and under assessment practices accepted across the country, the assessors are supposed to set the value on the land at the highest and best use, and here's the important thing, as if it was vacant.
Mm-hmm.
And so what that often means is you will find properties where the house value has been adjusted down to like $1,000. It doesn't mean we think your house is only worth $1,000, but that the bulk of the value of that property is in the land itself. And that's part of the problem and part of the dynamic that is driving displacement and gentrification, especially in Southeast Seattle, and something that we've been working with both the city, the county, community-based organizations to try to figure out how can we deal with that.
You're listening to Rainier Avenue Radio .world. We're talking about assessments, property taxes, and a lot of folks might be saying, what does this have to do with COVID? John, from your perspective, sitting where you sit, how has COVID impacted what you do? Has it impacted home values? Where would you say that COVID fits into the picture of the work that you do?
That's a really great question. It's hit in several ways. It hasn't, in general, Tony, driven property values downward in terms of housing. Housing values, especially in the city of Seattle, have remained pretty steady and are continuing to go upward, but they're going up, frankly, slower than in the rest of the county. It, though, has meant that it has particularly hit the rental community and people on fixed income or low income that are trying to just stay in their apartment. Those apartment buildings are going up, and we're working right now with Representative Harris Talley and others in the legislature to get a bill that would provide property tax relief to those kind of landlords of those old affordable apartment buildings, provided that they pass that benefit on to the renter. So that would help. The other impact it's had is frankly, one of the things I'm really proud of is we worked with AARP and again community organizations in Southeast Seattle and elsewhere to get the state to finally index the economic threshold of the senior exemption that's been on the books for years to the average median income in each county. So now in King County, that value went last year from $40,000 a year up to $58,423. And what that's meant is there are thousands more people in the county, and particularly in probably your listenership, Tony, that may now qualify for the program. But COVID has made it virtually impossible for us to do the kind of outreach we wanted to do to the community. That's where getting on programs like this with you is so helpful to let people know, or frankly, having people come into the office. Because of the vulnerable nature of a lot of those people that qualify for the program, we just didn't dare have them come into the office and run the risk of contracting COVID. So we've been virtual now. I heard you at the intro to the program. Like you, we've been virtual since March of 2020. And we're rapidly coming up on 2 years now. So that's made it tougher, but it makes a huge difference. We ran some numbers. If you own, and heaven knows if you can find this house in Seattle, good luck. But if you own a $600,000 home, and if your income annually household is, and you're over 61 and it's anywhere below.
You're talking about in Seattle?
In Seattle.
You mean a $600,000 garage? Oh,
yeah, man, I hear you. That's about what it is. But at that $600,000 level, if you have $40,000 or less of household income, we would save you annually on your property taxes a little over $4,400 a year. Now, that to me, that's some real money, and that really helps people. And I've heard from a lot of folks that say, hey, this made the difference of whether or not I could stay in the house or whether the taxes were going to force me to sell. And we're trying to figure out how to reach more and more of those people to get them signed up.
John, I went right into this just to let people know what we were going to be talking about. I want to back up a little bit right now. Tell us, well, first of all, how are you doing? How are you doing?
God, that's a good question. I wish I had an easy. I'm doing well. I'm concerned that I've been healthy throughout this. My youngest daughter, who doesn't live with me but spends a lot of time with me, she's a very talented chef. She unfortunately just before Christmas got this new Omicron variant, and so she was knocked on her back for 2 weeks with it. Fortunately, she didn't have to be hospitalized in that. But it's been tough, and it's made me a little bit more nervous about being out and about because I've got some health risks from age and weight and other things that make me a little bit more concerned. But in general, I'm really proud of the work we've done this last year, and I hope that we can be even more effective in the next.
And talk a little bit about your background and why you choose to be in this position, assessor, an incredibly critical position. We're talking about home ownership, and if you wanted to get into the weeds about the value of home ownership, it's going to take a lot more time than we have right now. But tell us a little bit about your background and why you choose to do this type of work.
Sure. I keep it really quick. I have what I describe as a checkered background in both journalism and in government. I worked for the Seattle Times. I was both a reporter and a producer and executive producer at King 5 News. I've worked for ABC Network News. I was chief of staff to former county executive Ron Sims, and worked for him for 3 years, and found that was amazingly rewarding, inspiring, and frankly a little bit exhausting working for Ron, because he was, when he was executive, was a 24/7 guy. I got into being assessor. I was deputy assessor for several years. Went to the technology department to help drive innovation. The county came back in 2015, pardon me, ran and won again in 2019. And I do it because, Tony, I think that the assessment office is so important because it touches everybody. Whether you own the property yourself or you're a renter or you're a small business person trying to make it go, I somehow have an impact on your life. And I also became really concerned.
That was my point.
Yeah, exactly, man. I mean, you know, it doesn't matter, frankly, what age you are, your demographic, you know, your ethnicity, you name it. I frankly touch you. And part of what I felt is we could do a better job of being more fair, more equitable, and more progressive. And that's what I've spent my tenure doing. You know, when I ran in 2015, I told the stranger I was going to be an activist assessor. And I'm proud that I think I have been that. And I've developed a reputation for trying to push progressive reforms to make our tax system work better and work more for those who often have been ignored.
Again, you're listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.world. It's me, Tony B. My guest is John Wilson. It sounds like a movie. That's why I keep saying it, like The Assessor. And now people know the magnitude of why I say it like that. It's an incredibly important job. And as you said, impacts and affects and touches everyone. John, I want to get back into this now. I'm going to start off with something that you said earlier, where there's a circumstance where the improvement, the house, may be valued at $1,000, and people are calling this and have referred to it as property devaluation. Let me start by getting your perspective, because the first thing that somebody's going to say is, how in the world can you value a home improvement, whatever condition it is, at $1,000?
So I get that. You know, a couple years ago, I had an old buddy of mine from the Seattle Times, and we had set his value at $1,000 bucks. And he said, "You think I'm a crummy homeowner?" That I said, no. It's the way the law, unfortunately, works. What we're required to do is balance the value of the land and the value of the improvement. And what that means is we figure out what that overall number is, and then we have to apportion how much of it do we think is based in the land and how much of it is based in the improvement. And for a lot of older properties, dependent upon their location, at some juncture that balance flips, so that the value is fundamentally in the land, not so much in the house. It doesn't mean, and banks do not, if we set your value at $1,000 and you want to go refinance your house, don't worry, the bank isn't going to say, I can only loan you $1,000 for your house. They're going to look at the totality of what the value is of that property. But by state law, we have to break it out that way between what's the land worth, what's the improvement worth when you put the two together.
And John, you know, we have open, honest, frank conversation on this show. So when you value an improvement at $1,000, again, from your perspective, who are the winners? Who are the losers?
Wow. You know, the shame with the way it has worked here in the last probably 10 years is the winners tend to be the developers. In that, you know, one of the realities of what happens, Tony, is our database is publicly available. It's a public record. We will have developers that will regularly get a copy of our database, and they'll go through it and they'll look for all those properties that have been valued at $1,000, and they're then going to map them, throw them on a map and see where they're at. And they start cherry picking neighborhoods. And in particular, and this has been an ongoing concern I've had, and it's part of an ongoing conversation I've had with my friend Ruby Holland, is it's particularly potentially detrimental, if not exploitive, of homeowners that are historically disadvantaged, homeowners of color, black and brown homeowners. And that's something that we've got to figure out how we fix. You know, I have a friend of mine, he's from a long-standing family in Seattle, and Richard lives in panic that his mother's going to sell her duplex that's in the CD, because the value keeps going up and developers keep knocking on our door saying, hey, baby, sell it, sell it, sell it. And, you know, what you see is developers, they're not going to pay you premium buck for that thing. They're going to lowball you. They're going to come in and say, well, that assessor's got your taxes really high. I can relieve you of all that. Just sell it to me, and then I'll pay your taxes. Well, also you sell it to them, and then within 6 months they're going to say, okay, well, now get out of my property and good luck finding something. And now I'm going to take it and tear it down, and I'm going to build up something shiny. And that's one of the great problems we've got right now. There's a lot of discussion in community about the notion of doing away with single family zoning because it has historic roots that are frankly racist. You go back and look at some of the maps, and you're just stunned at how the maps identify, especially like the Rainier Valley corridor, as less than desirable, I think the phrase was. But the fact is, that was then. This is now. And what you see is, if you make all of the city open to redevelopment, then a lot of those folks that live in Beacon Hill, live in the Valley, live in Columbia City, or that, they get peppered with those developers who want to buy their properties, buy it for a song, move them out, and then they don't build more affordable housing. What they do is they build, 2, 3, or 4, $1 million plus townhomes on that piece of property where that little 1,200 square foot bungalow was that you bought in the 1980s or late 70s.
And John, as much as I got to move on to some other stuff, I do want to, but geographically, can you tell us where, again, most of what I'm calling the devaluation, $1,000, is it impacting certain neighborhoods? Is it all over the city? Is it equitable? Where is this happening?
What you're seeing is you can kind of track the wave coming south from probably Dearborn down through the traditional Dearborn and east as you get to the lake. But as you frankly go down, Tony, down Rainier Avenue, you'll see that pattern of, especially close to Rainier Avenue, more and more of those homes have the value set at $1,000 because that's considered prime redevelopment because of mass transit and that. The area that we're seeing it in particular right now, because it's sort of, if you will, the last affordable part of Seattle, is Rainier Beach. And a lot of folks there that are finding suddenly, hey, wait a minute, why is my house suddenly valued at $1,000? Well, it's because the market has changed such that you're not considered a target neighborhood for people to buy property and redevelop. And that's what's driving real estate values in your community.
But what gentrification is telling us is it is prime property for redevelopment.
Right, but I've been around long enough. I don't believe you can allow just the market to run unshackled and just do whatever it will, because what you're going to find then is all the character and a lot of the legacy families and businesses that make up the character of a region or a neighborhood, they all get wiped out because it becomes too expensive. We've got to figure a more enlightened way to protect and preserve home ownership and preserve older apartment buildings and older retail so that we can continue to have a vibrancy that comes from having a mixed, both culturally and economic neighborhood.
And John, this time goes by so fast. I'll just say my comment is, it seems like the people who have been historically disadvantaged are in the same boat where they're losing again. But
yeah, I don't dispute that, Tony. But I think that's part of what we've been working on this year, and I've even been working as chairing a group of assessors across the country in like New York and Chicago, and that, in trying to make sure how can we make strides on making sure our value process and the way the values work aren't displacing people and aren't devaluing historically disadvantaged homeowners.
All right. A couple things I got to get to. House Bill 1410. What is it? Again, I'll just put it the same way. If this is supposed to reduce the threat of foreclosure, is that happening? What is it? Let's start with that. What is it?
It helps. What it does is it eliminates some of the penalties and interest that previously we used to charge you if you fell behind on your property taxes. And this was frankly something that made no damn sense. If you had people struggling to pay their property taxes and then you were also hitting them with a penalty, how did you ever figure they were going to catch up? And so the legislature finally said, look, we get it. Yeah, we need to be smarter about this. So what that does is if you're in foreclosure, in a tax lien foreclosure, it gives you some property tax relief on what it will take to get you trued up again. We're also working with our Treasury office in King County and with the treasurers elsewhere around the state to try to figure out better ways to both more aggressively avoid foreclosures totally, but also at the very least figure out better tools to let people pay it off in a manner that doesn't cripple them.
And when you say we're trying to figure things out, are we talking about legislation? What does that look like? What does that mean? Because for the people who are in a crisis situation right now, I don't know that resolves anything. Not that I'm putting this all on you, but I'm coming to you for an explanation for this.
There are a couple things. One of the things is we've been working with some foreclosure assistance community-based organizations to help connect them with people in trouble, to help them immediately. You're absolutely right, Tony. Look, if you're behind and they're knocking on your door, John talking about having legislation for this does you no damn good. But what we're trying to do is say, okay, both how do we immediately intervene? Part of what we did in the last 2 years with COVID is we administratively and under emergency powers that the state gave us, waived some of those fees and taxes and that. What we want to do now is go back to the legislature and say, look, on a longer term basis, you need to fix this. And let's look at a better way to do that. So it's got to be both. It's got to be what can we do immediately to prevent people from being foreclosed and evicted, and longer term, how do we put things in place so that people can stay in their homes?
When they're foreclosed and evicted, it's gone.
Yeah.
So you can't go back and recorrect that. I got to keep moving, John. Talk about this. I also want to talk about the property tax reduction for senior citizens' property. Tell us about that. What's going on? What are some of the changes that are happening, if there are changes?
So right, we touched on that a bit earlier, but we changed the economic threshold. So now you can earn up to $58,423. And that'll hopefully bring a lot more people in. You got to be 61 years or older at the time you apply. You can't have more than that 58,000 number of household income. You got to be the owner occupant of the house. And you can call us at 206-296-3920 and talk to somebody who can help get you going on the program. You can also go online to www.taxrelief.gov, and it'll take you to an online portal where you can apply. And we're encouraging people now. We got to remind people we're short-staffed. We had to lay off about 15 people because of COVID, and we're bringing some of those back on this month. But it's meant we've had a huge backlog. We had, Tony, last year, which was the first year under the new economic threshold, we had a 300% increase in the number of applications. And I got to admit, I didn't have that good a crystal ball. I didn't see that we were going to get 300%. So we're working through them. But I encourage people that if you think you might qualify, if you think, your parents, your neighbors, your friends, might qualify, it's yours. It's your right. Use it and apply for it, and we'll work with you to try to get you into the program, because it literally can make a difference in whether you can stay in that home or whether you find yourself taxed out of that home.
I'm almost out of time here, John. It's just flew by. Thanks for joining. But I got to get to a couple more things.
All right.
Really quick, because I want to give you a chance for final words. But then also the Washington Home Ownership Resource Center. How can they be effective for people who are listening right now?
Well, I think reaching out to homeowners and helping them educate on how the property tax system works. This is, one of the things I've talked to a number of folks, and I think we've talked about it before, Tony, is we want to better educate homeowners about what are your rights and how the system works, so you don't get flim-flammed by some, high pressure salesperson trying to buy your house, flip it, and throw you out on the streets.
And final words, Mr. Wilson, from you that you'd like to share with all of our listeners and why those who are watching right now.
Well, I'd say stay safe. All of us. It's this new variant has me a little bit at ill ease, but I would also say have hope. And if you have questions about your property taxes, don't hesitate to get a hold of us. You can find us online at the King County website, and you can also call our general number, which is 206-296-7300, and we'll be happy to help you. But everybody, take care.
All right. And speaking of those variants, John, at about 2:00, I'll be giving an update, and it's not good news. But we'll be back to talk about something that is good news. I'll be back to talk about what's happening coming up recently. There's a fundraiser during this COVID period. And Vinaya will be joining me, Vinaya Bynum, and we'll have this conversation. And I'll be, and then again about 2:00, I'm going to give you a very important COVID update from around the world. And if it's happening in the world, it's not going to be long. It wasn't long ago that they were saying Omicron was in South Africa. Now it is running rampant. Not only that, in King County, I'm going to give you those numbers as well. But before that, we're going to talk about a fundraiser with some great entertainment and giving back to our community right after this.
This is Paul Pearson, host of Star Time. And when I'm not meeting Mrs. Jones in that cafe for a chat and nothing else, I'm listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
Welcome to the coronavirus pandemic.
I'll take coronavirus for 100.
Fever, chills, shortness of breath, loss of taste or smell.
What is stay at home and isolate?
Correct.
Coronavirus for 200.
Inability to stay awake, persistent pain or pressure in chest, trouble breathing. What is seek immediate help? Correct.
Coronavirus for 500.
Crippling and potentially dead infectious disease eliminated in the United States with vaccination.
What is the polio vaccine?
Correct.
I'll take coronavirus for 700.
The Daily Double! Should I take the coronavirus vaccine?
Wait. Hold up. This is not a game. It's time for serious discussions. We have coronavirus vaccines, but not everyone is comfortable taking them. Here's the facts. Based on what has been proven about vaccines for other diseases, COVID-19 vaccine may help keep you from getting seriously ill, even if you do get the virus. Getting vaccinated also may protect people around, particularly those at greater risk for severe illness from COVID-19. We don't yet have all of the answers. Get informed, talk to your healthcare physician, and make the right decision for you. This is a message supported by the Washington State Department of Health.
We got the feeling now? Yeah.
R&B, soul, funk, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. We give you all that and more on Star Time. Join me, Paul Pearson, for a 2-hour trip through the history of R&B. A new episode every week on Wednesday at 2 p.m. Come and get the feeling on Star Time on Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
This is Monique Lee from the Afternoons with Monique show. I'm also the owner of Seattle Love Broker, a relationship consulting and matchmaking company. Tune in every Thursday afternoon at 1 p.m. to listen to intriguing, informative, and entertaining guests share stories of their past and vision for the future of our community.
If you or a family member are 55 or over and need nursing home level care, but want to keep living where you are, check out Providence Elder Place PACE. This program offers healthcare, housing, transportation, and recreational activities. There are no co-pays or deductibles, and it's covered through Medicare and Medicaid. Providence Elder Place PACE works to keep you healthy and in your home. Call 206-320-5325 or visit providence.org Elder Place. Providence.org Elder Place.
You know you can't get enough of Rainier Avenue Radio .world.
Welcome back to Rainier Avenue Radio .world. It's me, Tony B. This is our special impacts of the coronavirus on South Seattle and surrounding communities. If you're just joining the show, you missed a conversation with the assessor, John Wilson from the Department of Assessments. We're talking about property taxes. Again, this thing called property devaluation, which, no surprise, is impacting and affecting those who live in our community, South Seattle. How in the world can your house be valued at $1,000? And even though the thought is the bank is not going to hold that against you, well, that remains to be seen. We're about to talk with, I think it's Vania or Vania. I want to make sure I get that name right. From VC Bynum Arts and Education, second annual Humanity Concert, which is going to be streaming tomorrow at 2:30. That's on Saturday, and experience amazing performances from featured artists, including Josephine Howell, Yvonne Matthews, Tia Nash, and Robbie Moore. And a portion of the proceeds benefits Special Moments for Kids of Kent, Washington, and a Seattle artist who is battling cancer. And I think technology just worked against us, and Ms. Bynum is no longer on. So I'm going to hope that we can get her back again joining us. We were just about to start having the conversation. You can register today at weinspirehumanity.org, and they're also taking donations. So hopefully we'll get to have this conversation about the Humanity Concert. I can tell you this, that is streaming tomorrow at 2:30. And looking for a little bit more information, and we're going to try and get Vanya back so she can really give us all the details of what's going on at this particular event. If you're looking to support a good cause, if you're looking again to be engaged and involved with people who are trying to build community, this may be an event that you would like to find out about. And now we have it back, so I'm not going to waste any time. I'm bringing you right on the air right now. First thing, I would like to pronounce your name correctly, because I've said Vanya, I've said Vania, I've been just throwing it out there, but I want to get it right. So how should I address you?
My name is Vanya Bynum. Yes.
Okay, Vanya.
Very nice to meet you.
And a pleasure to meet you as well, Vanya. Welcome to Rainier Avenue Radio. And you've got a really exciting event that you've got coming up tomorrow.
Yes, I do.
We want to help you get the word out about it. The Arts and Education Humanity. This is tomorrow, again, streaming at 2:30. Empowering community through the arts. First of all, let's get a little bit of background. I didn't get a bio, but I don't need a bio. I have you with me. And I would rather have you tell me than you recite some things from a piece of paper anyway. Give us a little bit of background on who you are, where you're from, and why you are doing and involved and engaged in this type of work, Vanya. Uh-oh.
Yes. So, again, my name is Vanya Bynum. I'm originally from Mobile, Alabama. I have been in the Seattle area, or living in the Seattle area, since 1991. I came up to do internships, and I started full-time working in 95. So I'm a former engineer. So I started out growing up doing arts, not a lot of dance, but mostly speaking and music, poetry. And so when I saw Alvin Ailey, I was up here in the Seattle area, and something just really pulled me to the art of dance. And so after a
I'm
few
just gonna
years
stop.
of,
I'm gonna stop you just for a second because
yes,
everybody don't always know what we're talking about. So when you say Alvin Ailey, the dance theater of
Alvin,
Harlem,
yes, let's
let's
talk
maybe,
about,
yeah, since it was so impactful for you, for anyone who may
yes,
not be familiar with the dance theater of Harlem, Alvin Ailey, um, just share a little bit of information about that,
yes.
and then we can go back to your background.
Yes, so Alvin Ailey is one of our amazing pioneers of modern and contemporary dance. He is if you the Alvin Ailey Dance Company, you probably have heard of Revelations, which is their masterpiece that he choreographed. They use as they go around the world sharing our stories. And Alvin Ailey started this company to have a place to tell our stories. And I think it was in the 60s that it started, and they're thriving and going strong now. And if they ever come to Seattle, you should go to see Alvin Ailey. And they are my inspiration because I saw myself in them. And he made a place for Black people in the arts. And he was one of those pioneers. So, and they're based in New York.
I just had to get that in there. Okay, now back to your
Yeah.
story. Back to your story.
Yes. So back to my story, we'll fast forward. I left my job as an engineer and went to Cornish College of the Arts. And I got my degree in dance and performing arts. And one of the things that's dear to my heart is serving the community. I come from a family where we did a lot for the community. And so when I graduated from Cornish, I really wanted to use my art to impact others in a positive way. And my first benefit was the Hurricane Katrina relief benefit that I did in, I think, 2005. And since then, I've always wanted to continue that mission. So we fast forward through working, through 2 kids, through becoming married, and I still had that passion. And so Humanity and Evolving Perspective was really born from something that was already there, and that fire was lit in 2020 with the impacts of COVID and all of the racial injustices that were being highlighted, already going on, but being highlighted. Out of that came Humanity and Evolving Perspective. And that was a beautiful collaboration of artists of color coming together to uplift the community, to send out a message of hope and justice. And also we raised money for Northwest Tap Connections, Shayna's Garden, and Food is Love Seattle. So this is our second annual concert, and we will do this every year if we can. We have wonderful support from Philanthropy Northwest, from For Culture, from Artist Trust, and other organizations. And so I feel very blessed and grateful that I get the opportunity to use the art to not only just serve the community, but I can pay my artists. So through these grants, we pay our artists and we raise money for the community. And we just, uplift ourselves and uplift others.
All right, thank you. See, that was much better than me just reading a bio from you. And Vanya, I'm so glad that we have the opportunity to do this, to shine a spotlight on what you are doing and what you are doing in the community. We've been doing this show now for, I don't know how, it's not even months anymore. It's now years. Every Friday we talk about the impacts of the coronavirus on South Seattle and surrounding communities. And one of the wonderful things that I like doing on this show is highlighting people who rose from the ashes of the coronavirus, and the numbers of stories of members of our community who said, hey, you know what, I'm going to do something about this, and I'm going to take action. We hear a lot about the things, again, and rightfully so, that are impacting our community, but it's also just a wonderful opportunity to talk about people who said, I'm going to use this as a platform to, to build and to make our community sustainable. So kudos to you. And then the other thing about it is you went from being an engineer to an artist. That's people would say,
I know that
you
left and
lost
right
your
brain on
mind?
overtime. You know, I really say, I say that the art chose me because, you know, my dad was a pharmacist, and, you know, the big thing was you need to do something that's sustainable, and, you know, you need to be an engineer or a doctor if you're good at math. And, but in my heart, you know, I was born an artist. I did music, and I did a little bit of drama in high school. But I remember even with music, it was always not just about playing the instrument, but I probably moved more than anybody while I was playing. And I did a little bit of arts through an organization called Culture in Black and White. And I will say that VC Bynum Arts and Education, I want to pattern it a little bit after that, because what Culture in Black and White did for me was really expose me to the arts, and allowed me to get that exposure so that I could run with it. And I think that seed for dance was planted in just that short time that I was with them, and it all came back.
Well, you know, you get no argument from me. For me personally, this is just my opinion. If you go back to antiquity, if you look at a number of different, whether you're talking about empires or cultures, they're defined by the art that they left behind.
Absolutely. Dance is life. Art is life.
Yeah.
It truly is life. It's a healer. And I think of my organization, as I grow, we look at mind, body, and spirit. And the art can heal and serve and help us to grow in those ways, so that we become better people, you know, through how we can express ourselves.
I don't want the engineers to get mad at me. Engineering is also very, very important, but art, again, from my perspective, as I look back, that is essentially what is divine. Again, there have been some incredible creations that engineers have put forward too. So you just have the best of both worlds. You have a fundraiser coming up tomorrow.
Yes.
Let's talk about that a little bit. But before we get into it, I'm gonna tell folks how they can donate and how they can be part of it. Let's put that right up front.
Yes. So the first thing I'll say is go to www.weinspirehumanity.org, and you can find all of the information and all of the details. But what I'm going to say is that this second annual concert is benefiting special moments for kids. And also we have an artist who's dear to my heart in the area who has been battling cancer. And for anybody who's been through that, you know how challenging that is. She's had to do chemotherapy and radiation, and she has surgeries that are coming up in January and possibly in February. I know there are two. And so what we wanted to do is to raise money for those causes, and that's where the majority of that money is going. We actually had to reschedule from December. And so when we rescheduled, we realized that people were so supportive that we were able to go ahead and give special moments for kids, a donation of $2,200. And so we want everyone to really come and enjoy the show. We have an amazing lineup. There are some treats in there that you really, really don't want to miss. We have some amazing artists of all ages, and they are ready to inspire you to help the community and inspire others. So go out there and sign up. Another thing I want to make sure that I let you know is this is not on Zoom. We're streaming, but it's on a new platform for me that's called Expo Pass. So please don't wait till the last minute, and then you'll be out there trying to get into Expo Pass while we're doing the show. So we want everybody to sign up as soon as you can. And I want to say that not only are these concerts helpful for the community, but I want to say how helpful they are for the artist. Because the first time we did our concert last year, what was so beautiful, we were all there in Langston Hughes. We were masked up, social distancing, and getting this show together and recording. And the feedback that I got was that the artists were just so happy and inspired to be in a positive company of other artists and to be doing something for someone else and for the community. So that is one thing that warms my heart, that, I mean, we're just all around inspiring each other to do this work, and it's good work.
The website again is weinspirehumanity.org. See, I just leave off
Yes.
the www. If folks don't know that
Right.
by now, and I will add to that, I understand. I overstand as a cancer survivor.
Okay.
And then also a shout out to Laura.
Yes, Laura, because she's a wonderful friend of mine, and the work that that organization does is really amazing. And I've had the honor to help out on some of the events. And what they do is they believe that every child deserves to have happiness in their lives. And so they work a lot with foster children and just with families and children in need to provide special moments for them. And a lot of times during the Christmas season, they have, before COVID, they had special events where they bring children together with their families. They have gifts, they have food, they have entertainment, and just something to really uplift and brighten their day. And she does other things too. So I'm really honored just to know her, and also to be able to make donations so that she can continue to do this work, as we live in this coronavirus aura.
It's the second annual Humanity concert. You've got a number of amazing performers there. Let's not leave that part out as we're talking about this.
Absolutely. Let me share.
Yes.
We have the amazing Josephine Howe performing a wonderful piece with her band and her daughters, which is really lovely to be able to perform with your family. Yes.
Whoa.
And yes.
No, I'm just saying, and the band and her daughter.
The band and her daughters, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I have the honor of dancing with them in that piece.
Oh boy.
Yes.
What is this?
I dance too.
I want to talk about some more, but again, because people may not know about this, you have to go to Expo Pass, right?
Yeah. So when you go to the website, click on See the Show, and it will take you directly to a registration form that will register you in Expo Pass. And then at 10 o'clock on Saturday morning, you will get information about how to get into the show. Don't forget to check your junk mail, just in case, because that junk mail, sometimes I find stuff days later, and we don't want anybody who registered to miss it. We really don't want anyone to miss it. And there's no fee for registration. We ask that as you're inspired, that you bless us with donations. But you can go ahead and register and just come and see the show and share it with a friend, because it's really going to be impactful. We have Jaza Duhon. She's a young, amazing artist. She's classically trained, and she's going to give us a little opera on tomorrow.
All right.
We also have Robbie Moore. He's an amazing dancer in this area. We have Amina Minor and Noel Price. A beautiful young dancer. Star Rainier, she was Cracker to support her this year. So she's dancing a wonderful piece that I choreographed as well. So, I mean, we have Tia Nashay. So if you know out there, we have a powerful spoken word artist to uplift you. And just we have a piece that she's doing that is really saying we are one. And that's something we need. We really need to
Vanya, I hope you can hear me yet. The internet is going
Yes, I
in and out a
can.
little bit. Okay, because we're
Yes,
missing
but I
parts.
can hear you.
Okay, about the last 30 seconds of what you said, we did not hear. So I'm wondering if you can
So,
repeat.
did you hear me talk about Tia Nashay?
That's just about when it started to cut off.
Okay. So Tia Nashay is an amazing spoken word artist from this area. And what I was saying is that she's going to do a couple of pieces, and one of them is called Simonier, and it means we are one. And I was just saying that we want to, I love that piece because it is uplifting and it reminds us that we stand together as a community and not apart.
All right. And again, the website is weinspirehumanity.org, and we're on top of it here. Can we show that registration one more again so that people aren't
Awesome.
intimidated?
Register today. Get out there and register.
There it is.
Mm-hmm. You don't want to be out there like when you go to the ballet and you're late and you have to stand out there and watch it from outside. Everybody, we want you to get on in and register today so that you can get your information. And we have a very good experience in Expo Pass for you. So get in there and don't wait until 2:30 to log in. Get in early. We have a little something for you to look at and do while you're waiting for the show to start.
All right. Again, my guest is Vanya Bynum, VC Bynum Arts and Education. And again, the Humanity concert is taking place tomorrow at 2:30. If for some reason you can't make it, but you still would like to donate to this wonderful cause, Vanya, how can they do that? How can they get down?
So when you go to the website, there's a see the show button and there's a donate button. So go ahead and donate. And if you register, we may be able to, if you register and you can't see the show at that time, you would still be able to go in. We'll probably have it up a few extra days for you. So just come on out and register and look for the announcements, because we really want these artists. They're just amazing. They're just amazing.
It works all the way around, because during this time, artists like yourself, part of what you do is like to perform and show your craft for people, and COVID has prevented that from happening. And when you're not able to share your gift, we found out from a lot of people that is a mental health issue. For a lot of folks. So this is just a win-win situation all the way around. Vanya, I really wanted to help get the word out about this for you. Next time, don't you wait too long to contact us.
I will make sure. In fact, we'll be working together, because I have some other things that are coming up that I definitely want to share with the community. And I have one more thing I want to say. We are having a raffle, and we're going to raffle off something special for Gadsden Gear. And Ann Branch does Gadsden Gear, and she does a lot of Afrocentric and authentic clothing. And so get on in here and sign up and get in that raffle. You just might win the outfit of your dreams.
All right. Well, I'm also going to give you the opportunity for final words here. Whatever you would like to say to those who are watching, listening right now. Vanya, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I would just like to say, number one, that I stand in gratitude for the opportunity to do this and to serve the community. And I just ask that you come out, support these artists, and just uplift the community. And right now, things are very heavy. There's a very heavy spirit because of the coronavirus. And so come out and be uplifted as a part of the community.
All right. Thank you, Vanya.
Again,
that's tomorrow. Go to the website. Go to one more again on that website, please.
WeInspireHumanity.org. Streaming at 2:30 Pacific Standard Time. And I know we have people on the East Coast who are coming to the show. So that's 4:30 Central Time.
Vanya, I hope you
make sure you chat. Give us some feedback. We want to make it like on Sunday on Sunday evening with your family. That's what people said last show. It felt like we were just all together. So, and I have a wonderful co-host. I can't leave out my co-host, Twanda Hill. She is yes, she is the Twanda.
No, I said, hey, Twanda. I was saying hi to
Oh,
Twanda.
hey.
Hi,
Yes,
hi,
hey
Twanda.
to Twanda. Yes. So Twanda, she's my running buddy right now. We started working together last year on humanity. And so we have been working together. We have a podcast called Viewpoints with Flavor. And she is working on the Humanity Project with me every year. And I have to give her a shout out for her amazing leadership and for her friendship and her beautiful heart. So come and see Twanda because she's co-hosting with me tomorrow.
Well, all right.
Okay.
Vanya, thank you for joining us. In a couple minutes here, I'm going to be giving some updates on the coronavirus. It's wonderful to have this conversation as well to show, again, how out of the ashes of the coronavirus to see these phoenixes arise from our community who come to the forefront and bring our community together, fulfill the needs of our community, our health needs, our artistic needs. And again, I can go on because we did a lot of different things to support each other during that time as well. But the report that I have coming up is going to be an overview on coronavirus, what's going to play. It's not pretty. It is what it is. I am just the messenger, but we need to know what's going on. We have new variants that are on the way. And if you remember Omicron about 3 weeks ago, they were just saying it was in South Africa. And now it is spreading like wildfire. It is aggressive. It is the leading cause of hospitalizations and more information. And I'm just going to share this information with everybody in the next half an hour. So again, I'm telling you ahead of time, it is what it is. But we need to know about this and we need to know what's going on. You make the decision yourself whether or not you choose to get vaccinated or not get vaccinated, but check the facts, check with your doctor, see where we're at. This is not going away. So in a couple minutes, I'll be back. We're going to have this update again. I'm going to give you the latest on the surges right here in King County. We're going to talk about Omicron. We're going to talk about the new variants. We're going to talk about rapid testing. How effective is it? Home testing, and why can't you get one? Even though, it may not be the best of news, it is news that you have to have. And so again, thanks, Vanya, for being on here and sharing us some good news that has arisen from the coronavirus. We'll be back right after this.
This is Paul Pearson, host of Star Time. And when I'm not shouting "Badia" at city council meetings, I'm listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
God is Rainier Avenue Radio.world, your favorite community radio station. We're putting out all kind of inputs for you in your community. So come on and listen to us and tune us in. Get on our Facebook, Instagram, and all. As we're doing it right here for you in your community with Rainier Avenue Radio.world. And God is an inspiration of gospel music. Also, we're doing a lot of different things in your community. We give out free food. We give out a lot of things in the community. We do a lot of shows. We do a lot of things on the sports part, and we want you to come on out and tune us in and come to the community, and we do a lot of things in your community. So make sure you go to our website, RainierAvenueRadio.world, and also go to the God Is website and look us up and see what we do in your community, something maybe you might like. So come on by and check us out from 11 to 2. Free food giveaway.
Tune in to Real Estate and Money every Tuesday afternoon from 2:30 to 3 here on Rainier Avenue Radio.world. Join your hosts Violetta Strash with John L. Scott Kent North and Tina Lombard with Guaranteed Rate Affinity. They'll help you navigate the waters of our volatile real estate market and offer you some guidance on how to make your hard-earned money work to make your dreams come true. Learn about current trends, get tips on financial matters, and have fun, interactive discussions about your home inside and out. That's Real Estate and Money.
All lovers, check out the Quiet Storm Dedication Show with Sergio LaCour on Love Lines. Thursdays, 9 p.m. Pacific on Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
I love the music.
Are you a cultural producer who has been impacted by the pandemic? Four Culture is offering relief grants between $1,000 and $12,000 to cover your COVID-related losses and help you move forward with your creative work. If you're creating cultural experiences in any discipline at any stage of your career, you should apply. Exhibit designers, museum educators, archivists, restoration professionals, curators, archaeologists, history researchers, artists, and more. That means you. Not sure if you're a fit? Give them a call and they'll talk you through it. The deadline to apply is Wednesday, February 2nd. Head to forculture.org/recovery to get information on virtual group workshops, application support, language translation, and more. That's forculture.org/recovery.
You're listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.world. Check us out on social media. Facebook and Instagram, Rainier Avenue Radio.world, and on Twitter at Rainier Ave Radio.
Welcome back to Rainier Avenue Radio.world. It's me, Tony B., your host of the impacts of the coronavirus on South Seattle and surrounding communities. If you are just joining the show, you just missed a wonderful conversation with Vanya Bynum. Humanity concerts taking place tomorrow. You can go to the website. We Inspire You. Is that right, Daniel? Inspire You. There it is right there. We Inspire Humanity.org, and you can register in advance for that. And some wonderful, awesome, amazing performers, and all of this is for a great cause. And this was birthed with COVID. Just prior to that, we spoke with the assessor, John Wilson. We're talking about property taxes, the impact that COVID has had on property taxes. And when you're talking about that particular position, it impacts and affects and touches everyone. We had a conversation that also touched on this concept of property devaluation. And John kind of explained why that happens. If some folks are out there saying, why is my improvement, my home, valued at $1,000? Well, again, John touched on that. You can go back and take a look at it. I can tell you this, though, that the people who've historically been left out are the people who are historically being left out again. And not blaming this on anybody. It just is what it is. If folks' houses are being foreclosed and then they lose that house, the house isn't coming back. So you might want to check that out. In particular, if you're a homeowner, if you know someone who's elderly, who's a homeowner, and shocking, get this, it's happening in Rainier Valley, our community. So go back, check out that conversation. And if you know someone, there are also resources available. There's this thing called House Bill 1410, which is supposed to reduce these foreclosures. There are some other resources out there for you as well if you're having these issues, or if you know someone who's potentially struggling with foreclosure during this time. And again, the funny thing about this, not funny, I don't know what the word is to use, but with the supposed I guess you'd say property values are not supposed to be highly valued in Rainier Valley, and that's according to Assessor John Wilson. But on the other hand, the reason why developers are going in there is because it is highly valuable property. So again, just a bigger conversation than I can have right now about this, because I want to get to what's going on with COVID. Told you it wasn't pretty. A record 9.5 million COVID-19 cases were reported last week, making a 71% increase in confirmed cases. And again, this is because of the highly contagious Omicron variant that is spreading. And this is according to the World Health Organization. And this was just yesterday. So despite the increase in reported cases, the number of deaths last week decreased from the previous week. And to make it worse, More than 2,000 U.S. flights were canceled yesterday alone due to bad weather, due to staff shortages caused by the coronavirus infection. So if you're trying to catch a plane somewhere, coronavirus is not making it easy. At the same time, Alaska Airlines announced it would cut the number of flights by 10% through the end of the month because they're dealing with staffing issues. And yeah, I'll continue that. Again, just by yesterday, Thursday brought more, again, frustrating news. And 2,000 flights canceled. Carriers, were trying to continue their efforts to restore flight networks, but the bad weather and the staffing shortages due to coronavirus are not allowing that to happen. Southwest Airlines, United Airlines, and regional carrier SkyWest Airlines continue to be among the hardest hit. This is according to data provided by FlightAware. And the elevated number of cancellations show no signs of easing. So just be aware of that if you're planning on it. I'll give you some statistics here. Southwest had canceled 637 flights, about 21% of the scheduled departures. United, which had shown improvement in the recent days, canceled 236 flights, about 11% of the carrier's scheduled departures. SkyWest canceled 248 flights, about 10% of the flights that they had scheduled going the day before. And so just be aware that this is a COVID-related issue. And today is already shaping up to be another difficult day. Just yesterday, airlines had already canceled more than 1,500 United States flights. So after nearly 2 years of pandemic-related turmoil, they're hoping for a strong finish to 2021, but it didn't happen. And after the holiday celebrations, people, they wanted to go out. 2020, people really didn't do that. 2021, so they anticipate that was going to be an uptick. But again, the horrible weather that we know that took place around the country, yes, here in the Pacific Northwest, we know that in the Midwest, folks were stranded for 24 hours. And all of this is with the health system that is being stressed and stretched due to COVID. So just a lot going out there, and there's a new variant. A new variant out there, and the experts are keeping an eye on this, and it has 46 mutations. It was detected in France and showed up in a traveler who recently arrived there from a 3-day stay in Cameroon. French researchers say that this has not yet been peer-reviewed, but be on the lookout for another variant. I don't have a name for it yet, but this one has 46 different mutations. So, again, with Omicron, there was a point in time where it was supposed to be limited to South Africa. As we quickly found out, this is what is driving now the new surges that are taking place here in the state of Washington, actually. And I'm going to give you some more information on that. I got a lot more information that I want to give you. And so I'm going to be back here because I feel like I've been overloading you with stats. We're going to talk more about the surges that are taking place in King County. We're going to talk about the rapid tests. Are they effective or ineffective? And home testing, how you get one, what's going on to help you access these tests. If testing is supposed to be the key to this, why can't we get home testing? I'll be back and share more information with you about COVID right after this.
This is Paul Pearson, host of Star Time. And when I'm not stopping a Mercer Island street brawl, I'm listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
And welcome to our live studio audience for another exciting edition of Did You Know? And here we go with round one. Did you know?
COVID vaccine is free and easy to get. You don't need insurance or an appointment to get your vaccine. Vaccines are available at many locations near you.
And now we're going to double the value. Did you know?
The COVID-19 vaccine is always free of cost. You can visit pharmacies, community health centers, and other health providers in your neighborhood.
And now for the lightning round. Did you know?
The Delta variant of COVID is a mutation that has health experts worried because it's twice as contagious.
Then for our finale. Did you know?
The best way to protect yourself from the COVID Delta variant is to get fully vaccinated. Get your vaccine today.
Find out more at kingcounty.gov/vaccine.
Did you know?
Different rules apply when it gets this late. You know what I mean? It's like after hours.
Whatever gets you through the night, it's all right.
Hello, I'm an unpaid spokesman for DJ Sotovaci. I'd like to invite you to listen to his free-form music show. It's popular music the way it was never intended to be heard. Whatever gets you through the night, late nights, here on Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
Whatever gets you through the night.
All lovers, check out the Quiet Storm Dedication Show with Sergio LaCour on Love Lines. Thursdays, 9 p.m. Pacific on Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
I love the music.
Are you feeling the Seattle squeeze? The Seattle Department of Transportation has an app for that. Dot Maps will let you find where construction is taking place now and in the months ahead, and you can even set up email notifications. Find more info on SDOT's blog or access Dot Maps at streetwork.seattle.gov/map.
This holiday season, don't let illness make you miss a moment with the people you love. Make sure everyone in your family age 6 months and older gets an annual flu vaccine. Schedule a flu vaccination with your medical provider or visit your local pharmacy. More information on where to get vaccinated, visit kingcounty.gov/find a clinic.
You are listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.world. Don't forget to log on www.RainierAvenueRadio.world.
Welcome back to Rainier Avenue Radio.world. It's me, Tony B., your host of the impacts of the coronavirus on South Seattle and surrounding communities, giving you an update on COVID and how it's impacting our community. I mentioned to you that I was going to talk more specifically about what's going on in our community. Well, a wave of COVID-19 hospitalizations is pushing our healthcare systems in Washington state closer than they have ever been to a crisis point. Hospital leaders, doctors, and public health officials made this announcement yesterday that the effects of the Omicron variant's rapid surge across the state were coming into focus, and hospital leaders and health officials detailed trends of severe COVID-19 cases, which had been in decline since the peak of the Delta variant last summer. So far, King County and Washington, Western Washington, are facing the brunt of the Omicron spike, but the rest of the state is not far behind since the peak of the Delta variant. And the state reported another record number of infections yesterday, 15,157 in one day, topping the 11,000 plus high the day before. There are early signs that the new infections are causing less severe illness, especially in vaccinated people. Fewer cases of the pneumonia-like sicknesses are popping up, for example, and according to a Dr. Francis Rito, this means that Omicron doesn't seem to have a great predilection for the lower respiratory tract. And this was in a conversation that he had with hospital leaders. As of Thursday, King County was averaging about 31 COVID-19 hospitalizations per day, a 76% increase in the past week. So again, as of yesterday, in King County, the average was about 31 hospitalizations per day, a 76% increase in the past week. Infections also still have yet to peak, averaging about 2,700 new cases per day. And while deaths have been on the decline in the county for weeks, signs of another rise are beginning to emerge. In the last 24 hours, King County confirmed 8 new COVID deaths. And this is according to data from Public Health, Seattle, and King County. So we're experiencing another surge, another rise, and the brunt of it is being felt right here in Seattle and King County. So, what's going to take place? Or well, there's supposed to be these at-home COVID tests, and Washington is supposed to plan to distribute these millions of at-home COVID tests and masks to counter the Omicron surge. The governor announced at a news conference that Washington State will begin distributing millions of these at-home coronavirus tests and masks, and will expand vaccination clinics in an effort to blunt the wave of again Omicron cases. That's according to Governor Jay Inslee. Currently, the state is in possession of 800,000 at-home tests. And if you've been going to your pharmacy, it may not seem that way. But yes, currently, the state is in possession of 800,000, almost a million at-home tests, and they expect to get that to 4.7 million more to arrive over the next week or so, according again to the Department of Health. And those come on top of 400,000 tests that King County announced it was buying on Wednesday, which is going to give the total to King County at 700,000. So these numbers, are in addition to that. And hopefully we'll see some results from this. State officials plan to send 1 million of these tests, if you're wondering where they're going, to schools, and another million to local health districts in an effort to make sure that tests reached what they're calling underserved communities. I'm always curious what that means when they say underserved communities. So we'll see if these tests make it to where they're supposed to go, and if people who need them, who can't afford to buy one, have an opportunity to get an at-home test. And again, maybe this will do something. Again, I mentioned to you that the flights being canceled because of people testing. There's probably a lot of people out there who are positive at this point that don't even know that they're positive. So we need to get these tests in place. So at-home COVID tests and Omicron. This is what you need to know. What kind of tests? What kind of tests are in these at-home kits? Well, the FDA has given emergency use authorization to nearly a dozen over-the-counter self-collected rapid antigen testing kits, such as the Abbott Binax Now and the Quidel QuickView tests. And these names are probably going to become more familiar to you. These tests look for protein pieces of the virus that detect the infection and can provide you with results within 10 to 15 minutes. There's something called the polymerase chain reaction, or PCR test, a kind of molecular coronavirus test. It also looks for components of the virus, in this case RNA. But unlike the rapid antigen tests, most of these require a laboratory setting and can take up to several days to return a result. Those tests can tell you whether you've had the coronavirus at some point, but experts say they are not useful for identifying infections. So this is just a lot of information here. PCR tests are, however, widely considered more reliable than the antigen tests. So everyone is having the opportunity here to learn more about health and healthcare. And again, these aren't terms that we're used to talking about, but it's going to become more part of our vernacular. And while molecular tests usually can't be done at home, there are at least 2 authorized rapid at-home molecular tests that don't require a prescription. The Q coronavirus tests and the Lucira test kit are available for direct consumer purchase. So I'll say that again. The Q coronavirus tests and the Lucira test kit are available for direct consumer purchase. People can also purchase kits to collect samples at home that can be sent to a lab for analysis. Whatever test you use, make sure it is received authorization by checking the package or product description, because there are some scams out there as well. So does an at-home test detect Omicron? Well, research into whether the test can detect the latest variant Omicron are just starting. But in a recent update, the FDA did announce that preliminary lab studies suggest that 2 brands, the Abbott Binax Now and the Quidel QuickView antigen tests, are able to detect the Omicron variant with similar performance as with other variants. So does that mean the others aren't? I'll just tell you this once again. Research into whether the test can detect the Omicron variant has just started, but in a recent update, the FDA did announce the preliminary lab studies that suggest that two brands, the Abbott Binax Now and the Quidel QuickView antigen tests, are able to detect the Omicron variant. Where can you find a test? Well, that's a good question. Millions of Americans are scrambling around trying to navigate and figure out where they can get these rapid tests. And public health officials are urging Americans to get tested before you do any further traveling. Here's what else you need to know about these home tests. How they work, where to get them, and when to take them, the information and recommendations for this information. And more on the COVID-19 pandemic coronavirus. So the FDA has given emergency use authorization to nearly a dozen over-the-air, over-the-counter, self-collected rapid antigen testing kits. This is a little bit wonky, but try and bear with me. You heard me mention the Abbott Binax Now, and the Quidel QuickView tests, which again are pretty effective at recognizing again, Omicron. All of them may not necessarily do that. And you can get these they're sold by Walmart. You can get them at Walgreens and CVS. Although if you do check, they're probably going to say out of stock. So just be aware of that. If you're shopping on Amazon, you can purchase up to 10 of these kits. But many of the products are saying that they're also out of stock. So there are rapid tests out there. There are home tests out there. All of them don't necessarily respond to Omicron. A couple of them do. And again, this concept now of memorizing the various rapid tests and home tests is probably something that's just going to become part of our lifestyle. Again, in King County, it's surging. As of yesterday, 8 more deaths from Omicron, while we're still trying to figure out if this is severe as the Delta. So, again, not a lot of great news. For everyone, there is a new variant. It still needs peer review, but it's got 46 different mutations attached to it. It doesn't have a name yet. It needs peer review. It's not going away. If you're looking for a place where you can get a vaccination, well, I'm going to give you a little bit of information on that as well. If you're looking to get the pediatric dose of the Pfizer vaccine or a booster dose of the Moderna vaccine, you may want to confirm with your provider that they're actually available. The pediatric dose for ages 5 to 11 is a third of the normal Pfizer vaccine, and the Moderna booster dose is a half dose of the Moderna vaccine. There's a third dose for people who are immunocompromised and may not have had a robust immune response to begin with. So if you've had the Pfizer or the Moderna, in 6 months, it begins to wane. You probably need a booster. The Johnson & Johnson wanes after 2 months, and you'll need a booster shot for that. If you have any questions, you can call Washington State's Department of Health at 800-525-0127, then press the pound key. Now, if you do call that number, the response is slow, and there's long response times and log jams of people also trying to get that information. So you may not be able to get through. But if you can't get through with the main number above, there's another number that you can call that has additional capacity, and that is 888-856-5816. I'm going to give you both of those numbers again. 800-525-0127, 888-856-5885. 888-856-5885. 5816. That's the problem with giving out all these numbers. So once you've determined that you're eligible to be vaccinated, you can find a vaccination site through the Department of Health's tool as well. The Centers for Disease Control Prevention is allowing everyone who's eligible for boosters to get a different COVID-19 vaccine than you've already received, although the agency doesn't explicitly recommend it. If you aren't having any success finding a vaccination site through the Department of Health's website, again, the numbers to call are 800-525-0127 and 888-856-5816. And you can also check your local health district's website. If you cannot find a vaccination with open appointments, contact your primary care provider. I mentioned before that a wave of COVID-19 hospitalizations is pushing healthcare systems in Washington state closer than ever before to a crisis point. So be aware of that in your decision making about getting the vaccine, getting a booster shot. I told you it wasn't going to be great news, but it is the news that's out there. That's your COVID update. It's me, Tony B. We'll continue in the next half an hour on our listening formats with more COVID-19 information. I do want to remind everybody that we've got basketball starting up again. We'll be broadcasting girls basketball, Cleveland versus Roosevelt, tomorrow, 1 o'clock, right here on our Rainier Avenue Radio Broadcast Media Networks. Cleveland will be taking on Roosevelt in the girls game at 1 o'clock. And then at 2:30, we'll have the boys game again, Cleveland at Roosevelt. And it's funny now, every time you have to cough, you wonder what's going on. That is just a little tickle in my throat. I need a little bit of water. So thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Again, if you're on one of our visual formats, go to RainierAvenueRadio.world and you hear another segment on the COVID updates. That's it. That's all the time that I have. That's going to do it for the kid. It's me, Tony B., on behalf of Rainier Avenue Radio and the impacts of the coronavirus on South Seattle and surrounding communities. Saying thank you for joining us. And remember, whether you believe you can or whether you believe you cannot, you are probably right. I'm out.